The story of human origins begins not with grand monuments or written records, but with footprints pressed into volcanic ash on an African plain 3.5 million years ago, a moment so profound that it would forever change our understanding of who we are and where we come from. In the heart of Tanzania, in a place called Laetoli, a discovery was made in 1978 that would shake the very foundations of paleoanthropology and rewrite the narrative of human evolution. These weren't just any footprints. They were the fossilized impressions of our ancient ancestors, walking upright across a landscape that would soon be buried under layers of time and geological transformation. The footprints tell a story that transcends mere scientific data. They speak of a family, perhaps a mother and child, possibly accompanied by another individual, making their way across the East African savanna during a time when the world was vastly different from the one we know today. To understand the magnitude of this discovery, we must first transport ourselves back to that distant epoch, the Pliocene, when the climate was warmer, the landscape more verdant in some places and more arid in others, and our ancestors were just beginning their evolutionary journey toward becoming the humans we recognize today. The year 1978 was a pivotal moment in the field of paleoanthropology, a time when Mary Leakey, already a legendary figure in the study of human origins, was conducting excavations at Laetoli, a site located about 45 kilometers south of Olduvai Gorge, another famous location in the annals of human evolutionary studies. Mary Leakey was no stranger to groundbreaking discoveries. Alongside her husband Louis Leakey, she had already contributed immensely to our understanding of early human ancestors. But what she and her team would uncover at Laetoli would surpass even their most optimistic expectations. The discovery happened almost by accident, as many great discoveries do, when members of her team were engaged in a playful elephant dung fight, and one of them, Andrew Hill, fell down and noticed what appeared to be animal tracks preserved in the hardened volcanic ash. This seemingly trivial moment of horseplay led to a systematic investigation that would reveal not just animal tracks, but the unmistakable footprints of bipedal hominins, our ancient relatives who walked on two legs just as we do today. The footprints were preserved in a layer of volcanic ash that had been deposited by the nearby Satamon volcano, which had erupted multiple times during the Pliocene epoch, covering the landscape with fine particles of ash that, when mixed with rain, created a cement-like substance that recorded the passage of every creature that walked across it before it hardened completely. What makes the Laetoli footprints so extraordinary is not merely their age, though 3.5 million years is certainly impressive, but rather what they reveal about the locomotion and behavior of our ancestors at a time when the human evolutionary tree was still very much in its early stages of development. The footprints demonstrate unequivocally that bipedalism, the ability to walk upright on two legs, was already fully established in these ancient hominins, long before the significant expansion of brain size that would later characterize the genus Homo. This discovery challenged previous assumptions about human evolution, which had often suggested that brain development and tool use preceded the evolution of upright walking, but the Laetoli footprints proved that our ancestors were walking upright millions of years before they developed larger brains or sophisticated stone tool technologies. The footprints themselves are remarkably well preserved, showing clear impressions of heels, arches, and toes, with a distinctive big toe that is aligned with the other toes rather than diverging to the side as it does in apes, indicating a foot structure specifically adapted for bipedal locomotion rather than tree climbing. The trackway extends for approximately 27 meters and contains footprints from at least 2, possibly 3 individuals, walking in the same direction, their steps captured forever in stone. The larger set of prints, measuring about 21.5 centimeters in length, is generally attributed to an adult, possibly female, while the smaller prints, about 18.5 centimeters long, belong to a smaller individual, perhaps a juvenile or a smaller adult. There is also evidence of a third individual whose prints partially overlap with the larger ones, suggesting that this individual may have been walking in the exact footsteps of the first, a behavior that has led to much speculation about the social dynamics and relationships of these ancient beings. Who were these individuals, and what were they doing on that day 3.5 million years ago when their footprints were immortalized in volcanic ash? Were they a family unit, a mother and child perhaps? making their way across the savanna in search of food or water. Were they fleeing from predators, or simply moving from one location to another as part of their daily routine? These questions may never be answered with absolute certainty, but the footprints provide tantalizing clues about the lives of our ancient ancestors and the challenges they faced in a world that was both beautiful and dangerous. The species responsible for the Laetoli footprints is believed to be Australopithecus afarensis, the same species to which the famous fossil Lucy belongs, discovered by Donald Johanson in Ethiopia in 1974, just 4 years before the Laetoli footprints came to light. Australopithecus afarensis lived between approximately 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago, and these hominins represent a crucial transitional stage in human evolution, possessing a mixture of ape-like and human-like characteristics that provide insights into how our lineage diverged from that of other primates. While Lucy's skeleton revealed important information about the anatomy of Australopithecus afarensis, including the structure of the pelvis and leg bones that indicated bipedal locomotion, the Laetoli footprints provided direct evidence of how these creatures actually moved, confirming that they walked upright with a gait similar to modern humans, though perhaps with some subtle differences in stride length and foot placement. The discovery of the Laetoli footprints forced scientists to reconsider the sequence of events in human evolution and to recognize that bipedalism was one of the earliest and most fundamental adaptations that set our ancestors apart from other primates, predating the development of large brains and complex tool use by millions of years. But why did bipedalism evolve in the first place? And what advantages did it confer upon our ancestors in the challenging environment of the East African savanna? These questions have been debated by scientists for decades, and numerous hypotheses have been proposed to explain the evolution of upright walking in the human lineage. One of the most widely accepted theories suggests that bipedalism evolved as an adaptation to life in a changing environment. As the forests that once covered much of East Africa began to give way to more open grasslands and savannas during the late Miocene and early Pliocene epochs, approximately 5 to 3 million years ago. In this new environment, the ability to walk upright would have offered several significant advantages, including the ability to see over tall grasses to spot predators or locate food sources, the ability to carry food, tools, or infants while moving, and the reduction of the body surface exposed to the intense midday sun, which would have helped with thermoregulation in the hot, open environment. Another hypothesis suggests that bipedalism evolved as a more energy-efficient means of locomotion over long distances, allowing early hominins to cover greater areas in search of food and water, a crucial advantage in an environment where resources were often widely dispersed and unpredictable. Some researchers have also proposed that bipedalism may have evolved in the context of social and reproductive behaviors, with the ability to stand upright potentially playing a role in displays of dominance, courtship rituals, or the provisioning of food to mates and offspring. The truth is likely that bipedalism evolved due to a combination of these factors, each contributing to the selective pressures that favored individuals who were better adapted to upright walking, and over millions of years, these adaptations became fixed in the hominin lineage, setting the stage for all subsequent developments in human evolution. The environment in which the Laetoli footprints were created was vastly different from the landscape we see today, though it was still recognizably African in character, with a mosaic of habitats that included grasslands, woodlands, and riverine forests, providing diverse ecological niches for the many species that inhabited the region. During the Pliocene epoch, the climate of East Africa was generally warmer and more humid than it is today, though there were also periods of increased aridity that may have played a role in driving evolutionary changes in both plants and animals. The Sadamon volcano, which provided the ash that preserved the Laetoli footprints, was one of several active volcanoes in the region, part of the East African Rift System, a massive geological feature that stretches for thousands of kilometers from the Red Sea to Mozambique and has played a crucial role in shaping both the physical landscape and the evolutionary history of the region. The volcanic activity in the Rift Valley created ideal conditions for the preservation of fossils, as periodic eruptions would bury landscapes under layers of ash, which could then be dated using radiometric techniques, providing scientists with a precise chronological framework for understanding the timing of evolutionary events. The fauna of the Laetoli region during the Pliocene was diverse and included many species that would be unfamiliar to us today, as well as some that are the ancestors of modern African animals. There were ancient elephants, giraffes, antelopes, hippos, and rhinoceroses, as well as now extinct species of three-toed horses and giant pigs, and the presence of these animals is recorded in the same volcanic ash layers that preserved the hominin footprints, giving us a snapshot of the entire ecosystem at that moment in time. Predators were also abundant, including large cats, hyenas, and possibly early representatives of the saber-toothed cat lineage, making the savanna a dangerous place for relatively small and defenseless hominins like Australopithecus afarensis, who would have needed to be constantly vigilant against the threat of predation. The discovery of the Laetoli footprints was not just a triumph of scientific inquiry, but also a testament to the dedication, perseverance, and keen observational skills of Mary Leakey and her team, who recognized the significance of what they had found and undertook the painstaking work of excavating, documenting, and preserving these precious traces of our ancient past. The excavation itself was a delicate and challenging process, as the footprints were fragile and could easily be damaged by exposure to the elements or by careless handling. So the team had to work carefully to remove the overlying sediments and expose the trackway without destroying the prints themselves. Once exposed, the footprints were photographed, measured, and documented in minute detail, and casts were made to preserve their three-dimensional structure for future study. The site was then carefully reburied to protect the footprints from erosion and vandalism, a decision that has sparked some controversy over the years, as some scientists have argued that the footprints should be permanently excavated and displayed in a museum, while others contend that they are best preserved in situ, where they can remain as part of their original geological context. The debate over how best to preserve and study the Laetoli footprints reflects broader tensions within the field of paleoanthropology between the desire to make important discoveries accessible to the public and the scientific community, and the need to protect fragile fossil sites from damage and destruction. In the decades since their discovery, the Laetoli footprints have been the subject of intense scientific scrutiny, with researchers using a variety of techniques to extract as much information as possible from these ancient traces, including photogrammetry, which creates detailed three-dimensional models of the footprints, gait analysis, which compares the stride length and foot placement patterns to those of modern humans and other primates, and biomechanical modeling, which attempts to reconstruct the locomotor capabilities and constraints of Australopithecus afarensis based on the footprint evidence. These studies have revealed that the gait of Australopithecus afarensis was remarkably similar to that of modern humans in many respects, with a heel strike pattern, a distinct arch in the foot, and a push-off phase using the big toe, all of which are characteristic of efficient bipedal locomotion. However, there are also some subtle differences that suggest the gait of Australopithecus afarensis may have been slightly less efficient than that of modern humans, perhaps with a shorter stride length, a wider stance, or a greater degree of lateral movement, though these interpretations remain somewhat controversial and are the subject of ongoing research and debate. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Laetoli footprints is the evidence they provide for social behavior and group structure in early hominins, as the presence of multiple individuals walking together suggests a degree of social cohesion and cooperation that may have been crucial for survival in the challenging environment of the East African savanna. The fact that the smaller individual may have been walking alongside or slightly behind the larger one has led some researchers to interpret the trackway as evidence of a mother-child relationship, with the adult protecting or guiding the younger individual, though this interpretation is necessarily speculative given the limited evidence available. Others have suggested that the third set of prints, which overlap with the larger ones, may indicate a male following in the footsteps of a female, perhaps as part of a pair bonding or mate guarding behavior, though again, this is difficult to prove definitively. What is clear, however, is that these individuals were walking together, sharing a common direction and destination, and this suggests a level of social organization that goes beyond the mere aggregation of individuals that we see in some primate species. The Laetoli footprints also raise fascinating questions about the cognitive and emotional lives of our ancient ancestors. For to walk together across a landscape requires not just physical coordination but also social awareness, communication, and perhaps even a sense of shared purpose or intention. Did these individuals communicate with each other through vocalizations, gestures, or facial expressions as they walked? Did they feel emotions such as affection, fear, or curiosity as they made their way across the ash-covered plain? These are questions that fossils and footprints cannot directly answer, but they invite us to imagine the inner lives of these ancient beings and to recognize that they were not so different from us in their fundamental humanity. The discovery of the Laetoli footprints occurred during a period of intense activity and groundbreaking discoveries in the field of paleoanthropology, a time when scientists were beginning to piece together the complex story of human evolution through a combination of fossil evidence, geological and environmental data, and comparative studies of living primates. The 1970s saw a number of important discoveries that revolutionized our understanding of human origins, including not only the Laetoli footprints in Leakey, but also the discovery of numerous other fossils of Australopithecus afarensis and related species from sites throughout East Africa, as well as the development of new dating techniques such as potassium-argon dating and paleomagnetic stratigraphy, which allowed scientists to establish a more precise chronology of human evolutionary events. This was also a time of theoretical ferment in paleoanthropology, with new ideas about the mechanisms and patterns of human evolution being proposed and debated, including the concept of punctuated equilibrium, which suggests that evolutionary change occurs in rapid bursts separated by long periods of stasis, and the recognition that human evolution was not a simple linear progression from primitive to advanced forms, but rather a complex branching process in which multiple species of hominins coexisted and sometimes competed with each other for resources and territory. The Laetoli footprints provided crucial evidence in support of the idea that bipedalism was an early and fundamental adaptation in the human lineage, one that preceded and perhaps enabled other key developments such as brain expansion and tool use, and this has shaped our understanding of the sequence of events in human evolution ever since. The impact of the Laetoli discovery extends far beyond the scientific community, capturing the imagination of people around the world and becoming one of the most iconic and recognizable symbols of human evolution, featured in countless books, documentaries, museum exhibits, and educational materials. The image of those ancient footprints, preserved for millions of years in volcanic ash, has a powerful emotional and aesthetic appeal, evoking a sense of connection to our distant past and reminding us of the deep continuity that links us to all of our ancestors, stretching back through countless generations to the very origins of our species. The footprints have also inspired artists, poets, and writers who have used them as a metaphor for the human journey, our quest to understand our origins and our place in the natural world, and our innate desire to leave our mark on the world and to be remembered by those who come after us. In many ways, the Laetoli footprints represent the ultimate example of this desire, for they are literally the marks left by individuals who lived and died millions of years ago, yet whose presence is still felt today through the traces they left behind. The preservation of the Laetoli footprints required not only the fortunate combination of volcanic ash and rainfall that created the original impression, including the deposition of additional layers of sediment, the hardening and compaction of the ash layer into tuff, and the relative stability of the geological formations in the area, which prevented major disturbances that might have destroyed the trackway. The fact that these footprints survived at all is something of a miracle, given the many forces that could have destroyed them over such a vast span of time, and their discovery is a reminder of how incomplete and fragmentary the fossil record truly is, with each fossil representing just a tiny fraction of the countless individuals who once lived and whose remains have been lost to the ravages of time. For every fossil we find, millions more have been destroyed or remain hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered by future generations of scientists and explorers. The Laetoli site itself has become a place of pilgrimage for paleoanthropologists and anyone interested in human origins, though access to the actual footprint site is restricted to protect the fragile fossils from damage. But the nearby Olduvai Gorge Museum displays casts of the footprints and provides information about their discovery and significance, allowing visitors to connect with this remarkable piece of our shared human heritage. Tanzania, recognizing the importance of the Laetoli site, has taken steps to protect it as part of the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, ensuring that future generations will have the opportunity to study and appreciate these ancient traces of our ancestors. The protection and preservation of fossil sites like Laetoli is an ongoing challenge, requiring international cooperation, adequate funding, and a commitment to scientific research and public education. And there are ongoing efforts to develop new technologies and methodologies for studying and preserving these invaluable resources without damaging them. In recent years, advances in imaging technology, including high-resolution 3D scanning and photogrammetry, have made it possible to create detailed digital models of fossil footprints and other specimens, allowing researchers to study them in unprecedented detail without the need to physically handle the actual fossils. And these digital archives are becoming increasingly important as a way to preserve information about fossils and make it accessible to researchers around the world. The study of the Laetoli footprints has also contributed to broader discussions about what it means to be human and how we should understand our relationship to other species, both living and extinct. For the footprints remind us that the boundary between human and non-human is not as clear-cut as we might like to think, and that our ancestors were creatures that would seem strange and unfamiliar to us if we could meet them today. Yet they were also fundamentally similar to us in many important ways, sharing our basic body plan, our mode of locomotion, and perhaps many of our social and emotional capacities. The recognition that bipedalism evolved millions of years before the emergence of large brains and complex technology challenges traditional notions of human exceptionalism and suggests that the essence of humanity may lie not in our intelligence or our tools, but in more fundamental aspects of our biology and behavior, including our upright posture, our ability to walk long distances, and our capacity for social cooperation and cultural transmission. These insights have important implications for how we think about human nature and human potential, suggesting that many of the characteristics we associate with being human have deep evolutionary roots that extend back millions of years into our past. The Laetoli footprints also serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of preserving the natural and cultural heritage of places like East Africa, which have played such a crucial role in the story of human evolution and continue to be important sites for scientific research and discovery. The East African Rift Valley is often referred to as the cradle of humankind, a place where some of the most important chapters in the human story were written, and it is essential that we protect these sites and support the communities that live in and around them, recognizing that they are the custodians of our shared heritage and that their knowledge and cooperation are essential for ongoing research and conservation efforts. The people of Tanzania and other East African nations have a right to benefit from the scientific and educational value of the fossil sites within their borders, and there is a growing movement to ensure that paleoanthropological research is conducted in a way that is ethical, collaborative, and beneficial to local communities, rather than being extractive or exploitative. This includes providing training and employment opportunities for local people in fossil excavation and conservation, supporting local museums and educational institutions, and ensuring that the economic benefits of scientific tourism are shared equitably among all stakeholders. The legacy of Mary Leakey and her discovery of the Laetoli footprints extends beyond the scientific impact of the find itself to encompass her broader contributions to the field of paleoanthropology and her role as a pioneering woman in a field that was, and in many ways still is, dominated by men. Mary Leakey was a remarkable figure who overcame numerous obstacles and challenges to become one of the most respected and accomplished scientists of her generation. And her story serves as an inspiration to aspiring scientists, particularly women and girls, who may face discrimination or barriers to pursuing careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Her success was built on a foundation of hard work, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to the pursuit of knowledge, as well as a willingness to challenge conventional wisdom and to follow the evidence wherever it led, even if it contradicted prevailing theories or expectations. The collaborative nature of the Laetoli discovery, involving a team of researchers and local workers who contributed their skills and knowledge to the excavation and documentation of the footprints, also highlights the importance of teamwork and cooperation in scientific research, and the recognition that major discoveries are rarely the product of a single individual working in isolation, but rather the result of collective effort and the sharing of ideas and expertise across disciplines and cultures. As we reflect on the significance of the Laetoli footprints nearly 5 decades after their discovery, it is clear that they have fundamentally changed our understanding of human evolution and our place in the natural world, providing a tangible link to our distant past and a source of ongoing fascination and inquiry for scientists and the public alike. The footprints continue to be studied using new techniques and methodologies, yielding fresh insights and raising new questions about the lives and behaviors of our ancient ancestors. And there is no doubt that they will continue to be a focus of scientific research and public interest for many years to come. The Laetoli footprints remind us that the story of human evolution is not just about fossils and dates and scientific theories, but about real individuals who lived real lives, faced real challenges, and left behind traces of their existence that speak to us across the vast gulf of time, connecting us to them and to all of the generations that have come before us and all of those that will come after. In a sense, we are all walking in the footsteps of those ancient travelers who crossed the ash-covered plain at Laetoli 3.5 million years ago, for we are their descendants, the inheritors of the bipedal legacy that they passed down through countless generations, and every step we take is a continuation of the journey that they began so long ago. The Laetoli footprints also invite us to think about the nature of time itself and the way in which the past is preserved and transmitted to the present, for those footprints are not just evidence of ancient events, but are themselves a form of communication across time, a message from our ancestors to us, telling us that they were here, that they walked this earth, and that they were, in some fundamental way, like us. This sense of continuity and connection is one of the most powerful and moving aspects of studying human evolution, for it allows us to see ourselves not as isolated individuals or even as members of a particular culture or society, but as part of a vast, interconnected web of life that stretches back billions of years and encompasses all living things on this planet. The study of human origins through fossils like the Laetoli footprints is thus not just an academic exercise, but a deeply meaningful endeavor that helps us understand who we are, where we come from, and how we fit into the larger story of life on Earth. The questions raised by the Laetoli footprints continue to drive research in paleoanthropology and related fields, with scientists using a combination of fossil evidence, genetic data, comparative anatomy, and computational modeling to reconstruct the evolutionary history of our species, and to understand the selective pressures and environmental changes that shaped the course of human evolution. One of the key questions that remains is exactly which species created the Laetoli footprints, and while most researchers agree that Australopithecus afarensis is the most likely candidate, there are some who have suggested alternative possibilities, including the idea that multiple species of hominins may have coexisted in the Laetoli region and that the footprints could represent more than one species. This debate highlights the challenges of interpreting fossil evidence and the fact that our understanding of human evolution is constantly evolving as new discoveries are made and new techniques are developed. Another important question concerns the relationship between Australopithecus afarensis and later members of the human lineage, including the genus Homo, which appeared around 2.8 million years ago and eventually gave rise to our own species, Homo sapiens, approximately 300,000 years ago. Was Australopithecus afarensis a direct ancestor of Homo, or was it a side branch that eventually went extinct without leaving any descendants? The answer to this question is still not entirely clear, and different researchers have proposed different evolutionary scenarios based on the available evidence. But what is certain is that Australopithecus afarensis represents an important stage in the evolutionary transition from more ape-like ancestors to the larger-brained, more technologically sophisticated hominins that would eventually colonize the entire planet. The Laetoli footprints also raise questions about the evolution of the human foot and the biomechanics of bipedal locomotion, for while the footprints clearly show that Australopithecus afarensis walked upright, there are still debates about the details of their gait and foot structure and how these compare to modern humans and other primates. Some researchers have argued that the foot of Australopithecus afarensis retains some ape-like features, such as a more flexible midfoot or a less developed arch, that would have affected their locomotor efficiency and their ability to run or walk long distances, while others contend that their foot structure was essentially modern and that they were fully adapted to terrestrial bipedalism. These debates are not merely academic, for they have important implications for understanding how and why bipedalism evolved and what advantages it conferred upon our ancestors in their particular environmental and ecological contexts. The discovery of additional footprint sites from different time periods and locations would greatly enhance our understanding of the evolution of bipedalism and locomotor behavior in early hominins, and there have been efforts to search for such sites in East Africa and elsewhere, though footprint preservation requires such specific conditions that new discoveries are rare. In 2016, researchers announced the discovery of additional hominin footprints at a site near Laetoli, dating to approximately the same time period and attributed to Australopithecus afarensis, which provided further evidence about the variability in foot size and gait patterns within this species and confirmed that multiple individuals were present in the region during the Pliocene epoch. The analysis of these new footprints, combined with ongoing research on the original Laetoli trackway, continues to refine our understanding of early hominin locomotion and behavior. Beyond the scientific significance of the Laetoli footprints, there is also a profound philosophical and existential dimension to their discovery, for they confront us with the reality of deep time and the vast sweep of evolutionary history that has shaped all living things, including ourselves. 3.5 million years is an almost incomprehensible span of time, far beyond the scale of human history or even recorded civilization, yet these footprints bridge that temporal gulf and allow us to touch, however briefly, the lives of beings who existed in an almost unimaginably distant past. This experience of connecting with deep time can be both humbling and awe-inspiring, reminding us of our own mortality and insignificance in the grand scheme of things, while simultaneously affirming our connection to a lineage that stretches back to the very origins of life itself. The footprints invite us to contemplate the nature of existence and meaning, to ask ourselves what it means to leave a mark on the world and to be remembered, and to consider how our own actions and choices today will echo through time and affect future generations. In this sense, the Laetoli footprints are not just a scientific curiosity or a piece of evidence in a scholarly debate, but a profound symbol of the human condition and our place in the cosmos, a reminder that we are all part of an ongoing story that is far larger and more ancient than any individual life or civilization. The preservation and study of sites like Laetoli also raises important ethical questions about our responsibilities to the past and to future generations, for these sites are irreplaceable resources that provide unique insights into our evolutionary history, and once they are destroyed or damaged, the information they contain is lost forever. This creates a moral obligation to protect and preserve these sites, not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all humanity and for future generations who will want to understand their origins and heritage. At the same time, we must balance the need for preservation with the need for ongoing research and the advancement of scientific knowledge, recognizing that sometimes the only way to learn from fossils is to excavate and study them, which necessarily involves some degree of disturbance or destruction of the original context. This tension between preservation and research is one that paleoanthropologists grapple with constantly, and there are no easy answers, but what is clear is that any decision about how to manage and study fossil sites must be made thoughtfully, with input from multiple stakeholders, and with a long-term perspective that considers the needs and interests of both current and future generations. The Laetoli footprints have also played an important role in public engagement with science and in fostering a broader appreciation for the importance of scientific research and discovery, for they have captured the public imagination in a way that few other fossil discoveries have, becoming a powerful symbol of human origins and a source of wonder and inspiration for millions of people around the world. The image of those ancient footprints has been reproduced in countless forms, from museum exhibits and educational materials to works of art and popular culture, and it has become one of the most recognizable icons of human evolution, alongside other famous fossils like Leakey and Neanderthal skulls. This widespread public interest in the Laetoli footprints has helped to raise awareness about the importance of paleoanthropological research and has contributed to broader public support for scientific funding and education, demonstrating that even highly specialized and technical scientific work can have profound cultural and social impacts when it touches on fundamental questions about who we are and where we come from. The story of the Laetoli footprints also illustrates the serendipitous nature of scientific discovery and the importance of being prepared to recognize and seize upon unexpected opportunities. For if Andrew Hill had not fallen during that elephant dung fight, or if he and his colleagues had not been observant enough to notice the significance of what they saw, the footprints might never have been discovered, or their discovery might have been delayed for many years. This element of chance and contingency in scientific discovery is often overlooked in popular accounts of science, which tend to portray research as a linear and systematic process. But the reality is that many of the most important discoveries in science have come about through accidents, mistakes, or unexpected observations that were noticed by alert and curious researchers who were willing to follow up on anomalies and explore new directions of inquiry. The Laetoli discovery thus serves as a reminder of the importance of maintaining a sense of curiosity and openness in scientific research, and of the value of supporting exploratory and fundamental research even when the practical applications are not immediately obvious. As we look to the future, the Laetoli footprints will undoubtedly continue to be a focus of scientific research and public interest, with new technologies and methodologies allowing us to extract ever more information from these ancient traces and to answer questions that previous generations of researchers could only speculate about. The development of techniques such as ancient DNA analysis, stable isotope geochemistry, and high-resolution imaging has already revolutionized the field of paleoanthropology, allowing researchers to learn about the diet, health, mobility, and even the genetic relationships of ancient hominins in ways that would have been impossible just a few decades ago. And we can expect that future technological advances will enable even more sophisticated analyses of fossils and footprints. There is also growing interest in using computational modeling and artificial intelligence to analyze fossil data and to test evolutionary hypotheses. And these approaches may yield new insights into the biomechanics of bipedalism, the evolutionary relationships among different hominin species, and the environmental and ecological factors that shaped human evolution. At the same time, there is a continuing need for traditional fieldwork and exploration, for we have undoubtedly only scratched the surface of what remains to be discovered in the fossil record, and there are likely many more sites like Laetoli waiting to be found, each with its own unique story to tell about our ancient past. The challenge for future generations of paleoanthropologists will be to integrate these different sources of evidence and methodologies into a comprehensive and coherent understanding of human evolution, one that can account for the complexity and diversity of the human lineage while also providing a clear and compelling narrative about how we came to be the species we are today. The Laetoli footprints stand as a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the human desire to understand our origins, serving as a bridge between past and present and reminding us that we are all participants in an ongoing evolutionary journey that stretches back millions of years and will continue far into the future. And that every step we take, both literally and metaphorically, is part of that larger journey, connecting us to our ancestors and to all the generations yet to come. In the end, the significance of the Laetoli footprints lies not just in what they tell us about the past, but in what they inspire us to do in the present and future, to continue exploring, questioning, and seeking to understand the world around us and our place in it, to protect and preserve our natural and cultural heritage for future generations, and to recognize our fundamental connection to all living things and to the long history of life on this planet. The footprints are a reminder that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, a reminder of the deep continuity that links all of humanity across time and space, and a call to action to take responsibility for our shared heritage and to ensure that the story of human evolution continues to be written with wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to truth and understanding. As we stand at the threshold of the 21st century, facing unprecedented challenges and opportunities, from climate change and environmental degradation to advances in technology and medicine, the lessons of the Laetoli footprints remain as relevant as ever, reminding us of our origins, our resilience, and our capacity for adaptation and innovation, and inspiring us to face the future with courage, curiosity, and a sense of connection to all those who have walked this earth before us and all those who will walk it after we are gone. The broader implications of the Laetoli discovery extend into multiple dimensions of scientific inquiry, philosophical contemplation, and even spiritual reflection. For in those ancient footprints we see not merely evidence of biological evolution, but a profound statement about the nature of existence itself and the remarkable journey that has brought us from those first tentative steps on the African savanna to the complex, global civilization we inhabit today. When we consider the individuals who made those footprints, we must imagine them not as primitive creatures devoid of consciousness or emotion, but as sentient beings experiencing the world in their own way, feeling the warmth of the sun on their skin, the texture of the volcanic ash beneath their feet, and perhaps even contemplating, in whatever rudimentary way their cognitive capacities allowed, the landscape around them and their place within it. The fact that they walked together, moving in the same direction with apparent coordination and purpose, suggests not only physical proximity but potentially social bonds, relationships built on familiarity, trust, and mutual dependence, the very foundations upon which all subsequent human societies would be constructed. These were not solitary wanderers but members of a community, however small and simple that community might have been by modern standards, and in their togetherness we can see the seeds of all the complex social structures that would eventually emerge in the human lineage, from extended family groups and tribal organizations to villages, cities, nations, and global civilizations. The question of what Australopithecus afarensis was thinking, if indeed they were capable of thought in any way comparable to our own, remains one of the great mysteries of paleoanthropology, for while we can reconstruct their anatomy with considerable precision and make informed inferences about their behavior based on fossil evidence and comparisons with living primates, the subjective experience of these ancient hominins, their inner mental and emotional life, remains largely inaccessible to us. We know that their brains were significantly smaller than those of modern humans, with cranial capacities of around 400 to 500 cubic centimeters compared to the modern human average of about 1,350 cubic centimeters, and this suggests that their cognitive abilities were probably more limited than ours, though exactly how limited remains a matter of debate. Some researchers have argued that Australopithecus afarensis possessed only the most rudimentary forms of cognition, comparable perhaps to those of modern great apes like chimpanzees and gorillas, while others have suggested that even with smaller brains, these hominins may have possessed cognitive abilities that were in some ways more advanced than those of other primates, particularly in areas related to social cognition, spatial awareness, and perhaps even proto-linguistic communication. The structure of their brains, as revealed by endocasts made from the interior of fossil skulls, shows some interesting features that hint at the beginning of reorganization toward a more human-like pattern, including a slight expansion of the frontal lobes and changes in the organization of the temporal and parietal regions. Though these changes are subtle and their functional significance is difficult to determine with certainty. What is clear is that Australopithecus afarensis represented an intermediate stage in the evolution of human cognition, possessing capabilities that were more advanced than those of their more ape-like ancestors but still far short of the sophisticated cognitive abilities that would characterize later members of the genus Homo, including our own species. The daily life of Australopithecus afarensis would have been shaped by the constant need to find food and water, avoid predators, and navigate the complex social dynamics of their groups. And these challenges would have exerted strong selective pressures on both their physical and cognitive adaptations. Their diet, based on analysis of dental microwear and stable isotope signatures in fossil teeth, appears to have been varied and flexible, including fruits, leaves, seeds, and possibly some animal foods such as insects, eggs, or small vertebrates, though they almost certainly lacked the sophisticated hunting capabilities of later hominins and would have relied primarily on gathering and scavenging rather than active predation. The structure of their teeth and jaws, with relatively large molars and powerful jaw muscles, suggests that they were capable of processing tough, fibrous plant foods, which would have been important during periods when preferred foods were scarce, and this dietary flexibility may have been one of the keys to their success in the variable and unpredictable environment of the East African savanna. The ability to walk upright would have been crucial in their foraging strategies, allowing them to move efficiently between scattered food resources, to carry food back to safe locations for consumption, and to use their hands for food processing and manipulation while standing or walking. The hands of Australopithecus afarensis, as revealed by fossil evidence including a remarkably complete hand skeleton discovered at Hadar in Ethiopia, show a mixture of features suited both for climbing and for manipulation of objects, with curved fingers that would have provided a strong grip on tree branches, but also an opposable thumb and relatively long thumb compared to other primates, which would have enhanced their ability to grasp and manipulate objects with precision. This suggests that while Australopithecus afarensis was primarily terrestrial and spent most of their time on the ground, they still retained the ability to climb trees, perhaps to escape from predators, to access food resources, or to find safe sleeping sites, and this arboreal capacity may have been an important component of their survival strategy. The social structure of Australopithecus afarensis groups is difficult to reconstruct with certainty, but based on comparisons with living primates and on the limited evidence from the fossil record, most researchers believe that they lived in small groups composed of multiple adult males and females along with their offspring, probably ranging in size from perhaps a dozen to several dozen individuals. The degree of sexual dimorphism in Australopithecus afarensis, with males being substantially larger than females, suggests that they may have had a social structure characterized by male-male competition for access to females, similar to what we see in gorillas and many other primate species, though the exact nature of their mating system, whether it involved single male groups, multi-male groups with dominance hierarchies, or some other arrangement, remains uncertain. The presence of multiple individuals walking together in the Laetoli trackway, however, provides at least some evidence for group cohesion and coordinated movement, suggesting that they were capable of maintaining social bonds and cooperating in basic activities such as foraging and predator avoidance. Communication among Australopithecus afarensis individuals would have been crucial for maintaining these social bonds and coordinating group activities, but the nature and complexity of their communication systems remain subjects of intense speculation and debate. They almost certainly lacked language in the modern sense, as the anatomical structures necessary for complex speech, including a descended larynx and sophisticated neural control of the vocal apparatus, appear to have evolved much later in the human lineage, but this does not mean that they were incapable of vocal communication altogether. Like other primates, Australopithecus afarensis probably used a repertoire of calls, vocalizations, and possibly other sounds to communicate basic information about food, danger, social status, and other important matters, and they would have supplemented these vocal signals with gestural communication, facial expressions, and other nonverbal cues. Some researchers have suggested that the evolution of bipedalism may have actually facilitated the development of more complex communication systems by freeing the hands for gesturing and by changing the acoustic properties of vocalizations through alterations in posture and breathing patterns, though these ideas remain speculative and are difficult to test empirically. The capacity for culture, defined as socially learned behaviors that are transmitted from one generation to the next through observation and imitation, is another area where Australopithecus afarensis may have possessed rudimentary abilities that would later be elaborated in the human lineage. Though again, the evidence is limited and interpretations vary widely among researchers. There is no direct evidence that Australopithecus afarensis made or used stone tools, as the earliest known stone tools, dating to about 3.3 million years ago, appear to postdate the Laetoli footprints by several 100,000 years. though this does not preclude the possibility that they used perishable tools made from wood, bone, or other materials that would not have survived in the archaeological record. Some researchers have suggested that the hand anatomy of Australopithecus afarensis would have allowed them to make and use simple tools, even if no direct evidence of such tools has been found, and it is possible that future discoveries may reveal evidence of tool use or manufacture in this species. The discovery of cut marks on animal bones from sites dating to around 3.4 million years ago, roughly contemporary with the Laetoli footprints, has raised the intriguing possibility that some early hominins may have been using stone tools to process animal carcasses even earlier than previously thought, though the species responsible for these marks has not been definitively identified. Regardless of whether Australopithecus afarensis used tools, it is clear that they were capable of complex learned behaviors and possessed cognitive abilities that went beyond those of typical primates, setting them apart as a unique and transitional form in the evolution of the human lineage. The relationship between Australopithecus afarensis and the environment in which they lived was complex and dynamic, shaped by ongoing changes in climate, vegetation, and the composition of animal communities, and understanding this relationship is crucial for understanding the selective pressures that drove their evolution and ultimately led to the emergence of the genus Homo. The period during which Australopithecus afarensis lived, from about 3.9 to 2.9 million years ago, was a time of significant environmental change in East Africa, characterized by a general trend toward cooler and drier conditions and an expansion of grasslands at the expense of forests, though this trend was not uniform and there were periods of both increased aridity and increased moisture. These environmental changes would have had profound effects on the availability and distribution of food resources, the types of predators present in the landscape, and the opportunities and challenges facing hominin populations. The ability to adapt to changing environmental conditions through behavioral flexibility, rather than through specialized anatomical adaptations, may have been one of the key factors that allowed Australopithecus afarensis to survive and thrive for over 1 million years. And this capacity for adaptation through behavior and learning would become even more pronounced in later hominins, ultimately leading to the extraordinary ecological success of our own species. The landscape in which the Laetoli footprints were made was not a uniform expanse of open grassland, as is sometimes depicted in popular reconstructions, but rather a complex mosaic of different habitat types, including areas of open grassland, patches of woodland and bushland, gallery forests along rivers and streams, and wetlands and marshes in low-lying areas, and this environmental heterogeneity would have provided a diverse array of resources and opportunities for exploitation by Australopithecus afarensis and other hominin species. The volcanic activity that was so crucial for preserving the Laetoli footprints was also an important factor shaping the landscape and influencing the distribution of plants and animals, as volcanic ash deposits enriched the soil with nutrients, creating areas of enhanced productivity that would have attracted both herbivores and the predators that hunted them, and the eruptions themselves would have created temporary disturbances that reset ecological succession and created new opportunities for colonization by pioneer species. The presence of numerous animal tracks in the same ash layers as the hominin footprints provides valuable information about the ecological community in which Australopithecus afarensis lived, revealing a rich and diverse fauna that included many species that are now extinct, as well as the ancestors of modern African animals. Among the animals whose tracks have been identified at Laetoli are elephants, which were represented by at least 3 different species including Deinotherium, a primitive elephant with downward curving tusks, giraffes, which were already present in forms similar to modern giraffes, though there were also now extinct species with different body proportions, antelopes and gazelles in considerable variety, including both browsers that fed on leaves and shoots and grazers that consumed grasses, hippos, which would have inhabited rivers and wetlands and provided evidence for the presence of permanent or semi-permanent water sources, rhinoceroses, including both browsing and grazing species, pigs, and warthogs, which were diverse and abundant and played important roles in the ecosystem as omnivores and root grubbers, horses, which were represented by three-toed species quite different from modern horses and which were in the process of adapting to more open grassland environments. Hyenas, which were diverse and included not only bone-crushing scavengers but also hunting species and smaller forms. Large cats, including early representatives of the lion lineage, as well as possibly saber-toothed cats and other now-extinct felids, and numerous smaller mammals, birds, and reptiles whose tracks and other traces are also preserved in the ash. This rich faunal assemblage would have presented both opportunities and dangers for Australopithecus afarensis, providing potential food resources in the form of plant foods, insects, eggs, and small animals, but also including numerous predators that would have posed a constant threat to these relatively small and defenseless hominins. The ability to detect and avoid predators would have been crucial for survival, and the evolution of bipedalism may have played an important role in predator avoidance by allowing Australopithecus afarensis to see over tall grasses and vegetation to spot approaching dangers, as well as by facilitating rapid escape into trees when necessary. The social structure of Australopithecus afarensis groups may also have been shaped in part by the need for collective vigilance and defense against predators, with multiple individuals being able to watch for danger from different directions and to warn each other through vocalizations or other signals when threats were detected. The legacy of predation pressure on early hominins can still be seen in various aspects of modern human psychology and behavior, including our tendency toward anxiety and hypervigilance, our fascination with dangerous animals, and our deeply ingrained fears of darkness, heights, and other environmental hazards that would have posed real dangers to our ancestors. The geological processes that preserved the Laetoli footprints also provide important information about the timing and tempo of environmental changes in East Africa during the Pliocene, as the succession of volcanic ash layers and sedimentary deposits creates a detailed chronological record that can be dated using radiometric techniques and correlated with other geological and paleoclimatic records from around the world. The dating of the Laetoli footprints to approximately 3.66 million years ago is based on potassium-argon dating of the volcanic ash layers above and below the footprint horizon, which provides a precise chronological framework within which to place this important event in human evolutionary history. This date places the Laetoli footprints in the middle of the time range during which Australopithecus afarensis existed, suggesting that the locomotor adaptations displayed in the footprints were characteristic of the species throughout much of its evolutionary history rather than representing an early or late stage in its development. The precision of the dating also allows us to correlate the Laetoli footprints with other paleoclimatic records from the region and to understand the environmental conditions that prevailed at the time, providing important context for interpreting the significance of the footprints and the selective pressures that shaped the evolution of bipedalism in early hominins. The study of past climates and environments, known as paleoclimatology, has become increasingly sophisticated in recent decades, with researchers using a variety of proxy indicators to reconstruct temperature, precipitation, vegetation, and other environmental parameters from sedimentary records, ice cores, ocean sediments, and other sources, and these paleoclimatic reconstructions have revealed that the climate of East Africa during the Pliocene was highly variable, with cycles of warming and cooling, wetting, and drying occurring on multiple timescales from decades to millions of years. This environmental variability may have been a key factor driving human evolution, creating selective pressures that favored behavioral flexibility, cognitive adaptability, and technological innovation, and it is no coincidence that the human lineage emerged and diversified in a region characterized by high environmental variability and rapid ecological change. The concept of variability selection, proposed by paleoanthropologist Rick Potts, suggests that the key to understanding human evolution lies not in adaptation to any particular environment, but rather in the evolution of adaptations that allowed our ancestors to cope with environmental variability and uncertainty, including behavioral flexibility, dietary breadth, and the capacity for innovation and problem-solving. And this framework has proven valuable for understanding many aspects of human evolutionary history. The Laetoli footprints, in this context, can be seen not just as evidence of bipedalism, but as a testament to the adaptive flexibility of Australopithecus afarensis, a species that was able to survive and thrive in a variable and challenging environment through a combination of locomotor efficiency, dietary flexibility, and social cooperation, traits that would be further elaborated and refined in later members of the human lineage as they faced even greater environmental challenges and opportunities. The evolution of the human lineage from Australopithecus afarensis to modern Homo sapiens was not a simple linear progression, but rather a complex branching process in which multiple species coexisted, competed, and sometimes interbred, creating a rich tapestry of evolutionary experimentation and diversity that has only recently begun to be fully appreciated as new fossil discoveries and genetic analyses have revealed the true complexity of human evolutionary history. Following the time of Australopithecus afarensis, the fossil record shows the emergence of a diverse array of hominin species, including the robust Australopithecines such as Australopithecus robustus and Australopithecus boisei, which were characterized by massive jaws and teeth adapted for processing tough, fibrous plant foods. The early members of the genus Homo, including Homo habilis and Homo erectus, which showed significant increases in brain size and the first clear evidence of sophisticated stone tool technologies and the controlled use of fire, and eventually our own species, Homo sapiens, which emerged in Africa around 300,000 years ago and would eventually spread to every continent except Antarctica, becoming the dominant large animal on the planet. Each of these species represented a different evolutionary experiment, a different solution to the challenges of survival and reproduction in the changing environments of the Pleistocene epoch. And while most of these experiments ultimately ended in extinction, they all contributed to the rich evolutionary heritage that we carry within us today. The question of whether Australopithecus afarensis was a direct ancestor of the genus Homo, or whether it was a side branch that went extinct without leaving descendants remains somewhat controversial, with different researchers interpreting the fossil evidence in different ways. But the overall pattern is clear. The evolution of the human lineage involved a complex series of branching events and speciation episodes, with multiple species often coexisting in the same regions and competing for resources. Recent genetic studies have revealed that this pattern of coexistence and interaction continued even into relatively recent times, with modern humans interbreeding with Neanderthals and Denisovans as they expanded out of Africa, and these ancient genetic contributions can still be detected in the genomes of many living people today, particularly those of non-African descent. This discovery has fundamentally changed our understanding of human evolution and has challenged the traditional view of modern humans as a genetically distinct and isolated species, revealing instead that we are the product of a complex history of mixing and gene flow among multiple archaic human populations. The implications of this realization extend beyond the purely scientific realm and touch on profound questions about human identity, diversity, and unity. For if we carry within us genetic contributions from multiple ancient human species, what does this mean for how we define ourselves and how we understand our relationships to other peoples and populations? These questions do not have easy answers, but they remind us that the study of human evolution is not just an abstract academic pursuit, but has real relevance for understanding contemporary human diversity and the challenges facing our species in the modern world. The Laetoli footprints, viewed from this broader perspective, are not just evidence of a single moment in time or a single species, but are part of a much larger story about the evolution of life on Earth and the emergence of consciousness, culture, and civilization from natural processes operating over billions of years. This story begins not 3.66 million years ago, but at the very origin of life itself, approximately 3.8 billion years ago, when the first self-replicating molecules emerged in the primordial oceans of the early Earth, setting in motion the process of evolution by natural selection that would eventually lead to the incredible diversity of life forms we see today, including ourselves. From those first simple cells to the complex multicellular organisms that would eventually colonize land, sea, and air, from the first fish that ventured onto land to the reptiles, mammals, and eventually primates that would give rise to the human lineage, Each step in this long journey was made possible by the accumulation of countless small changes, each preserved and transmitted through the genetic code, each tested by the harsh realities of survival and reproduction, and each contributing to the gradual emergence of more complex forms of organization, behavior, and ultimately consciousness. The primate lineage, to which humans belong, emerged around 65 million years ago in the aftermath of the mass extinction event that ended the age of dinosaurs, and over the following tens of millions of years, primates diversified into a remarkable array of forms, from the tiny lemurs and lorises that still inhabit the forests of Madagascar and Southeast Asia to the great apes, including chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, and humans, that represent the most recent branches of the primate evolutionary tree. The split between the human lineage and that of our closest living relatives, the chimpanzees and bonobos, occurred sometime between 5 and 7 million years ago, though the exact timing and circumstances of the split remain subjects of ongoing research and debate, and it was during the millions of years following the split that the key adaptations that define the human lineage, including bipedalism, enlarged brains, reduced canine teeth, and the capacity for culture and technology gradually emerged through the process of natural selection. The Laetoli footprints thus represent a crucial milestone in this long journey, capturing a moment when one of the most fundamental human adaptations, bipedalism, was already fully established and functional, setting the stage for all subsequent developments in human evolution. As we reflect on the profound significance of these ancient footprints and what they reveal about our origins and our place in the natural world, we are reminded that we are not separate from nature but are deeply embedded within it, products of the same evolutionary processes that have shaped all living things, and that our destiny as a species is inextricably linked to the health and sustainability of the planet that gave birth to us and continues to sustain us. The challenges we face in the 21st century, from climate change and biodiversity loss to resource depletion and social inequality, are in many ways unprecedented in human history, yet they are also fundamentally rooted in the same basic dynamics of competition, cooperation, and adaptation that have shaped life on Earth for billions of years. Understanding our evolutionary history, including the lessons embedded in those ancient footprints at Laetoli, can provide valuable perspective on these contemporary challenges and can help us to develop more sustainable and equitable ways of living on this planet